Dingo Chipmunk and Limp Bizkit. Look into these eyes and you see the size of a say, yeah! Alright, let's get the show on the road.
Shut up and sit down.
The Business Bros Podcast was created for you. Learn from the business professionals who come to share their stories. Find out what's working in business and social media, what's hot and what's not, straight from the mouths of successful entrepreneurs out there doing the real work. And now, welcome to another episode of
Business Bros. Oh, you had to bust out the drumsticks today, huh?
I was over here drumming when you had that music playing, and they're always sitting right there next to me, even though
there you go. Here,
I don't.
There you go. Go ahead. I don't know. It's not really. All right, let's be honest. It's Limp Bizkit. It's more like DJ.
I mean, that's
than
true.
It is,
that's true. But I mean, the beat's there. Whatever.
It's true.
It's fine. It's fine.
All right, ladies and gents, it is episode 717 when times get tough. Why?
717.
Why when times get tough? Because let's just face it, like there's a lot of issues going on in our normal stuff. What's up, Joe?
What up, Joe?
Joe. There's a lot of stuff that happens in our normal day-to-day lives that we just kind of throw under the rug. Nobody talks about these struggles. Nobody really talks about the realities of what's happening in our lives when the times get tough, when things are difficult, when cash flow is not there where you need it to be, when you have to figure out solutions and problems to problems that you have on a day-to-day basis. For example, today, we had a cancellation. Like it happens. I actually had two today, one for today, one for tomorrow cancellation. And then we have no guests scheduled on Friday because we're going to a wedding. So we're not going to be able to, we'll do a show probably a little bit earlier, maybe en route. Maybe we'll do something a little fun like that. But for the most part, it'll be something. So Mama, what's up, Mom? So what happens when times get tough? What happens when a guest doesn't show up? What do we have to do? How do we keep going? What happens when the revenue doesn't hit where you needed to that month? Where do you dig out the extra dollars? Where do you dig out the extra effort? What do you do to keep going? So I'll start off with the conversation that we were having just before the show. James and I were looking at the insurance company, and we're looking at the book of business. We're looking at how much money comes in every month, and we've had a short month, and then all the other months have been okay, right? But we look at one metric, which is we look at the net, right? The net, that's really where the bottom line, where the rubber meets the road type thing. And maybe the net isn't where we want it to be. So what do? We look at some of the other metrics to see where things are going wrong. What is it that we're missing? And so we look at our pipe drive, which is basically how we track sales and things through the sales cycle. And so we can look at metrics there, and we look at it and we're like, okay, look, this is what we should be bringing in. And then we compare it to the commission statements that actually come in, and we're like, oh, well, those things are not matching up. So, we're looking at at other things to kind of fix, to correct, to make changes as we move along. But it doesn't take away the weight that you have on your shoulders, right?
Nope, it sure doesn't.
What happens when someone smashes into your car? Or what happens when Facebook shuts down your account? I mean, these are all things, like reality things that happen, right? Oh, by the way, since we have no guest today, Joe, if you would like to jump on, it's always a great conversation. What we'll do is we'll drop the link in the chat for any of you guys watching live who want to hop on. That's the beauty of having these last minute shows, is we can have the opportunity to have conversations with people. But these tough times, these are the things that I think, for all intents and purposes, these are the things that are skipped in our social medias. Right. I think when we're looking at Instagrams or we're looking at people's posts, it's all peaks. It's from peak to peak to peak. The happiness in your life, the success in your life. But what about the downs? What about the struggles? So I want to kind of see what's up with you, Ham. Like, how are you feeling these last couple days, and what were you doing to kind of cope with the struggles in business?
Lots of journaling, lots and lots of journaling. For me, it's always introspective work. And I think part of it is because you and I both are the types of people that will never blame anyone else for our problems.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like whatever's going on with the company, it's my fault. Right? If revenue isn't there, it's my fault. If there's mistakes being made, it's my fault. If, whatever it is, it's my fault. I'm the one that always has to carry it. So when those kinds of situations come up, I have to talk to myself, right? I need advice from the smartest person I know, so I talk to myself. Totally not true. Totally not true. I'm not the smartest person I know. In fact, I refuse to be the smartest person in the room as often as possible. But yeah, it really is all of that introspective work. It's digging down and saying, okay, if it is my fault, right, and it is, then what needs to change? What do I need to change in order to get to where I want to be, right? In order to get over this hump, like what needs to happen? And even more than what needs to happen, what do I need to do is also, what am I willing to do? Two different things, right?
Joe also says right here, it's my fault, but beating yourself won't serve anyone. Joe, you're absolutely right, man. Hashtag facts. Like, that is the absolute truth. And that this is one of those things that, like, I felt like after we had our discussion, like literally James's show ends, Practicing Polyam ends around 2:50, almost about 3:00, maybe 3:15 sometimes. And then him and I will sit down and we'll talk, and we try to make it quick because we got the next show to prepare for. But today's conversation was kind of like one of those where, damn, like this is something we really need to figure out where we're at. Like, we can see where our projections are supposed to be and where we're supposed to be as far as closing business is concerned. But what we're seeing in our P&Ls and our net, it wasn't matching the same. So these are you're right. It is our fault. But I'm not pointing the finger saying, James, you're screwing it up. You're messing it up. You need to fix this, blah, blah. And he's not doing the same thing to me. We're actively looking for a solution to the problem, right? Mm-hmm. We set our timelines, we set our goals. And then what happens is every single month, whether you reach a goal or not, you have a result. And we talk about results all the time. So when we get into these tough situations, it's because the result that we intended wasn't the result that we achieved. Right. And that's okay. Like that's part of being an entrepreneur. It's part of having to deal with these types of small problems, because when you work through these problems, when you hash them out, you always heard the saying, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Well, as long as they're going in the direction that they intended to in their initial vision, in the thing that they wanted to do, then that's a good thing. But if the going gets tough and the tough get going in the opposite direction, they bounce and they leave. To me, that's the quitting point of view, right? This is where it ends. And you look at different things that you're working through. You look at your business, or you look at your family life or the relationships, whatever it is that you're struggling with that's tough at the moment. And you have to take a step back and be like, okay, this reminds me of Will Smith, right? It's okay. Yes, it is not your fault that this thing happened. Maybe it was your fault that you made a mistake, or maybe it was somebody else's fault in your company that made a mistake, or maybe, it was somebody else who dropped the ball. Ultimately, the responsibility though lies on you. If you're the CEO of your company, if you're the head of your ship, you're the captain at the helm, ultimately, whether or not it's your fault, the responsibility lies on you, because at the end of the day, it's your business. This is your livelihood you're talking about. This is your, the reputation you have with your customers. This is all these different things that have to go on. So focusing on a solution, not on being a victim, not on beating yourself up, not on doing, knocking yourself out of the game. Because you could easily do that. You could easily fall into the trap. And you got to back me on this one. You're very emotional. You could easily fall into the trap where something goes wrong and then you beat yourself up for it. And now you're struggling to get back on the horse. And this thing can last days. It can last weeks. And what happens to all that productivity time? Like, it spirals out of control.
Yep.
You experienced that?
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, I had this up earlier, but Joe's saying it right here. Take a nap, heal, recover, come back stronger tomorrow. A lot of times that's the only thing left to do. Yep. Round of applause, that one. Round of applause, that one for sure. And I do experience that, and I am emotional, and sometimes my emotions will get the best of me, and it will be sometimes a full day or two, or rarely, a full week that I just can't focus because of whatever thing is stressing me out, it's stressing me out so bad that I can't like get over it. I can't get past it. I can't focus on anything else but this huge problem that's staring me in the face. And what happens, in those instances is it does become a cycle of, self-limiting beliefs on top of self-limiting beliefs on top of self-limiting beliefs. And I love what the work that I've been doing with one of my coaches lately is just naming. I think I talked about it last week, but naming my inner villain, right? And that inner villain that's always beating me up and telling me how crappy of a business person I am, or all these things. That's it's condemnation, right? It's I imagine it like Bane, this just big mean looking thing that's just beating me up and telling me how crappy I am. But then I got my vision looking character on the other side that says, nah, man, you're all right. He's the redeemer. He's like, nah, man, we got this. Like, we're unbreakable. That's right. Hashtag unbreakable. Because I was talking about it last week because Bonnie popped in there with that.
And here's the truth about business. And when we were talking about it last week, I was talking about founder's depression. And this is something that happens a lot when you run a company because you are alone. You might have staff. You might have a good team. You might have partners. But oftentimes, especially when it's your division or your company that is having a struggle, you feel more alone in these downturns because who do you turn to? I mean, fortunately for you, you actually have two coaching organizations that you're working with. One's more of on the personal side with Junto, and the other one is specifically in the insurance space. So you have people that you can go out and talk to about these things, and it helps limit some of that depression or that quietness that you can tend to fill with voices in your head. That
they sound pretty evil, and they can tell you a bunch of stuff that probably isn't beneficial to you.
But those voices, right? Those voices, we can cut them off. And this is why for me, doing things like, the nap helps, right? The heal, the recover. For me, the recovery always tends to be with the state of mind. Sometimes it's music. Sometimes to be honest, it is working out and going out on a run totally helps.
Hell yeah.
Being out there breathing, but sometimes it's just music. And the type of music that you play and the lyrics that you're listening to, for me, they make all the difference in the world. Because with a flip of a switch, with just the right song and the right pace and the right movement, my mind changes. And all of a sudden I went from, I don't know how I'm going to get through this, to I'm a freaking badass and I'm going to conquer this, right? That is the power of one little switch, one mindset shift, right? If you can change the mindset, you can attack the problem from a different angle. Another thing that has worked for me from time to time is I listen to YouTube videos, right? The Mulligan Brothers is a channel that I subscribe to, and it's just a compilation of Tony Robbins and Les Brown and David Goggins, a bunch of different speakers, and it has like music in the background, right? So it'll have something upbeat in the background. You're just hearing that stuff, and they're talking about what it is that they're doing, how you can be a badass too, how every day is a struggle, but you're gonna push through, like you're gonna make this happen. Those types of things where I hear either sometimes it's music and sometimes it's YouTube channels of people who are successful, who are helping me change that mind shift, who are going through their own struggles at that time and still push through. Like that stuff lets me see that I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one going through this tough time. And if I can switch, if I could just flip the switch, I can get back on the horse. And sometimes it's 20 minutes later. Sometimes it's a day, just like you. I don't think I've gone week at a time, but there have been times where it's a couple days. You wake up in that fog, like another day. Like I still this problem is still in front of me. Right. Yeah. Or you can wake up, change that music, change that motivation and be like, dude, this is the one. If I solve this one, it takes away all these other dominoes. Like sometimes that negative tough time is the definition of your one thing, the one thing that you need to do. And the reason why it's stressing on you is because you don't want to tackle it. It takes an extra work. For example, The problem that we're talking about today, it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a line by line audit of what we've received versus what we've closed. And that sucks.
Yep.
That is the nitty gritty. How do you feel about that, Ham?
I mean, I'm not looking forward to it, but at least I know that it's going to be easy work. It's going to be, tedious, but it's just going to be, it's going to be brainless also. But it's the kind of work that needs to get done. I mean, it's one of those, it's almost like data entry. People don't really look forward to doing data entry, but it's stuff that needs to get done. What does Joe say?
Joe says, I realized today, no matter what I'm going through, others are going through something worse. Dude, and I'm not much of a news watcher, but my in-laws have been staying with us and they do watch the news. So like this morning, I caught a glimpse of some of the news stories. Things like Putin's upset and I don't know, the drums of war have been beaten or something. I don't know, stuff's going on over there. Or what else? I heard that Israel is having issues with vaccines and then they're starting to see some heart problems. Or I see, schools don't want to open up. Like there's so many things that you can focus on in your own in that are outside that you can demonize, that you can choose to be polarizing on one side or the other, but understand that each one of those stories, each one of those things going on is somebody's world shattering around them, somebody's world that they're in a low point. And when you can kind of think about that and put your life into perspective, when you look at starving kids in other countries, you look at people really being held down by communism or socialism or fascism, whatever and all these crazy things going on in the world, or people not being accepted. And then you kind of step back and be like, oh, I got to go through a couple spreadsheets and, match up some numbers.
First world problems.
Like perspective is everything. Right? And sometimes you got to take that step back and being able to talk to somebody and seeing what they're going through. Right. That's one of my favorite things of having this podcast is I get to talk to people. And if I wanted to, I ask them some deep questions. What are they going through? Everybody has their own that they're going through. Right.
Well done. I like it. You hit
that
it.
was perfect.
You
That was perfect, right?
Nailed it.
Everybody has their own that they're going through. And as long as you understand that you're not the only one, that there are other people that are struggling with that too, and you're willing to be vulnerable and share those things, to talk to somebody about it, not just hold it in yourself, you're going to make much more connections. Like those are the connections that people love to have. I had a moment this week, Cam, when I walked into my classroom and I hadn't been there in over a year. March 13th of 2020 was the last time I had been in that classroom. And there were stacks of papers that, quizzes and assignments that were supposed to be graded, and I didn't grade them because we left, never came back. I have boxes of Pop-Tarts because I sell Pop-Tarts and Rice Krispie treats that expired in like December of 2020. Like they're just sitting in this
wait. Did you still try to eat them?
No, I'm tempted. I'm tempted because I want to see if they're like, if it's just the box versus everything else.
It's just the box. They're like Twinkies. They never go bad.
That's what I was thinking. I was exactly thinking of Twinkies. But I what I did was I pulled out my phone and I talked about how awkward this feeling was, how weird it was to walk into this room that I hadn't walked in over a year and kind of realize that I've just spent the last year in a completely different world, right? And that situation is not unique to me, right? Nope. I'm not the only one who had been feeling this.
The whole freaking world went through something different and new.
But that story blew up on my Instagram. I had so many responses. I had so many people reaching out, so many people, sharing that same message. Like it was incredible. Why? Because I'm not the only one going through a tough time.
Right.
And when you're able to share those things with other people, when you're able to connect with other people as a real human being, that's where the tough times get a little bit easier. That's where you start to, as Samwise Gamgee would say, share the load. Movie clip that we don't got.
That we would rarely, if ever, use that one. But yeah, I mean, the whole world changed and everybody's gone through all these different things and we're all adjusting. Joe's saying the whole world is kind of upside down right now. It is. But by the same token, I keep saying when the world starts spinning again, You know, I keep using that phrase over and over and over again, but the
It
fact
never
is,
stopped.
it never stopped. It never stopped. Time only moves in one direction, right? It just keeps going forward. And, you know, we have, as a society, as a world, we've done we've been able to combat this thing in a completely new way. And thanks to, you know, the power of the internet and everything that we had, it just changed the way everything is. We were talking about it, you and I think, just before this, that when, oh no, I was talking to Jimmy. That's who I was talking to today. I was talking to Jimmy, and he's like, yeah, when kids are finally able to go back to school, parents will be able to go back to work. And I'm like, yeah, but a lot of parents won't have to go anywhere to go back to work. Like, so many people are going to the jobs that we didn't think could be done from home have been done from home. And so it's all going to stay. A lot of it is going to stay that way. But I think there will still be that need. And Jimmy mentioned it, that there's still going to be a need for social interaction. Right. So I can imagine, I can see people deciding to go into the office like 1 or 2 days a week just to get out of the house and like meet with people.
Dude, that social interaction, that's important. That's one of my, this week I went to campus a couple days, right? Just 2 days. And it was cool to see people, to hang out with them, right? The rituals of the past, rituals and patterns of the past no longer apply.
It's true.
Agree. It is definitely a new normal. This
everywhere
is
we
a
go.
new normal. This is the way things are.
Everywhere we go,
need to
we're
start
going to have
adjusting-
these.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
I mean,
it's still going to be a thing. It's not going anywhere.
yeah, well, I mean, we'll see what happens over time with the mask thing, but you know, I mean, just to bring it back to the business sense, I mean, this is a different way of operating the world. Facebook, for example, is about to pull a lot of their analytics come June. So what you used to do for your marketing, and what I mean, they're pulling a lot of their analytics gone. Like, you won't be able to access a lot of their stuff. You know, put it this way. The cool thing about advertising on Facebook was, like, I could really say, look, I want to target, 18 to 25-year-olds that live in San Diego, that do, right? And
this is the Facebook Apple war that's been going on.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah. Because Apple is all about protecting your privacy, and Facebook is all about, we want to get as much information as possible from you so we can use it for our advertisers. Apple's like, nah, we ain't having that. And that's, yeah. Okay, so that's what you're talking about, and that's happening in June.
So the world's going to get tougher. If you're in marketing, if your job was to sell Facebook ads and Facebook takes a lot of those analytics out and you're not going to get the same conversions, the times are going to get tough. And
digital
it's right
marketers.
around the corner. Digital marketers, It's going to get tough. Did you build your email campaign? Did you build your email list? Because that's a list that you control, right? These are things,
that's what I was going to say. Yep.
Right. I mean, these are things that you need to do in your business that you should have been doing, that you knew you should have been doing, but maybe you hadn't. But it doesn't mean that the world ends. The world doesn't stop turning at that point. It means we got to shift.
Yep.
Right. We got to make a change. You're not the only one who's going to be struggling with Facebook ads. There are going to be a lot of people out there. What are they going to do? Right? This is where your vulnerability comes in. This is where you share, hey, I have no idea. I have a company that we've been successful for the past 5 years in Facebook marketing. I don't know what's going to happen next. This is what I'm thinking of doing. What do you guys think? Right? Why don't we as marketers do that? There's a network of people out there, and I'm sure there's mastermind groups that have been put together, other groups that are talking about this already. But if you don't have anybody to talk to, why aren't you reaching out with that vulnerable state? Don't be afraid to say, I don't know.
Don't be the smartest person in the room.
Exactly. Right? Dude.
Going back to that.
That's the difference, I think, between those entrepreneurs who are going to be successful and the ones who aren't. I've been reading Elon Musk's book right now, and it's crazy. One of the cool things, by the way, is a little side note here. the author of the autobiography was talking about how he met with Elon a couple times for lunch to talk about, you know, the book and how it's going, all that stuff. And he described the way Elon eats as he doesn't really eat as much as he just inhales the food.
He's one of those, huh?
For those of you who don't know, that's exactly how I eat. Like, eating to me is a waste of time. I don't want to sit there and like, oh, like, you know, maybe a fine, like a great steak and like potatoes or something like that. I'll take my time and kind of chop it up. But for the most part, when I eat a meal, I just devour it and then I can continue on, whether it's conversation or doing work or whatever it is. So, I mean, I wish I had more of the skill set and, you know, photographic memory like Elon has. I don't have all that, but at least I eat as fast as the guy does. I don't know. I mean, that's something.
I don't know, man. I really love to savor my cheesecake more than anything else.
Oh,
Man, you give me some cheesecake, I will eat that like one teeny tiny little slice at a time.
and some crumb apple pie.
Deliciousness, pure deliciousness.
So,
I'm getting hungry.
yeah, now I'm getting hungry. So, anyways, I was talking about Elon and as he's, you know, as they're describing his determination, you know, he talks about how there is no quit. Like he said he would rather, I think it's called seppuku. Seppuku is the Japanese ritual where they'd rather, you know, when they disgrace their family or where they decide that, strawberry squares. Mom's right.
Yes.
I love those. I haven't had those in a long time.
It's been over a year.
Mom, it's been over a year. I'm not saying you owe us because you owe us nothing, but we would really love strawberry squares.
So I'll get some strawberries, and next time Mom comes down, instead of making tortillas,
we'll make strawberry squares. I'm down.
There you go.
So anyways, so Elon's talking about how he would never quit at the thing he's doing. When he has a vision and he has a goal that he needs to accomplish, in his mind, there is no quit. He would rather do the ritualistic Japanese suicide, I think it's called seppuku, and he'd rather do that than quit on the thing that he's determined to do. Will Smith talks about it as he's running on the treadmill. He's like, dude, there's only two things that are going to happen. Either you're going to get off or I'm going to die, because I'm not going to quit. I'm going to outwork you on this treadmill. He's going to continue running till he dies. Like, there's that determination in everybody. And I understand that. Oh,
gotta go visit Mom.
Yep. On the way. You got to understand that, you know, that no quit, that ability to say, I'm going to push forward. Yes, we all have that, but it doesn't mean that he doesn't get tired. It doesn't mean that they're not going through problems. It doesn't mean that they don't hit wall after wall after wall, right? And I think we as entrepreneurs, we as podcasters, we as husbands, wives, brothers, sisters need to understand that it's not all flowers, sunshine, and rainbows. We want it to be. It's capable. Life is capable of giving that to us every single day. But it's also the peaks and the valleys. The valleys, I think, is where our character is built. It's where we are the difference between a pawn and what do you call everybody else? Not a pawn?
I don't know. Everything else, strategic piece. I mean, everything's a strategic piece.
I don't know. Anyways,
everything's a strategic piece in chess.
I don't know
what.
Bad analogy there.
Non-puns.
Non-puns. I don't know if that was straight pun at me, non-pun.
Nonsense.
Nonsense. No, but really, those valleys, those struggles, that's where our character, this is where our integrity comes in. This is where, are you willing to do what you need to do? Are you willing to ask for help when you need help? Are you willing to learn a new skill when you need to learn a new skill? That's where it happens. When times get tough, that is where real humanity, I think, comes in, where you are the type of person who puts out a hand and says, here, let me help you up, bro. Like, are you the type of person who shows up and does the cleanup crew? Are you the type of person who says, you know, let me just make meals for these particular people? Like, this is where humanity comes in. This is where we get together. This is where you build everything if you're willing to push through those tough times. But admit that you have them. Like, they exist.
They exist. Rest is not only for the weak.
Well, I'm just like,
I know. I keep saying it. Rest is for the weak. Eating is for the weak. Sleep is for the weak. No. We actually kind of need some of that stuff.
dude, I when people ask me now, they're like, dude, is it true you wake up at 4:20? I'm like, yes, I do. but I try to go to bed at 8:30. Right. And sometimes I'm in bed by 9. So it's not like I'm depriving myself of sleep. I just choose to, and I'm not productive after that time. Right. I could watch Netflix. I could, chill and do nothing. But for what? Like, that's the perfect time for me to go to sleep so I can wake up early. Right. This is a conscious choice I make. And at 4:20 in the morning, if I don't go to bed at, 8:30, 9 o'clock, it's going to be a tough time. It's not going to be easy. And there are a lot of you who feel the same way, which is why you grab that extra cup of coffee in the morning, right? We all go through it. Just talk about it. Just share it. And be a human when you see or hear other people who are going through it as well. Because just think about it, right? Sometimes when you reach out to those other people, that is you putting out that good karma. That is you helping somebody else through a situation. Doesn't mean you have to give them money. Doesn't mean you have to give them tons of your time. Sometimes it's just an ear. Just open up, ask the question, and you never know what kind of reciprocity, what kind of karma is going to come your way. Be of value to others.
Hell
That's
yeah.
what it's all
Nice
about.
message. I like it.
All right, Ham. Hasta mañana, ladies and gents. All right, any last minute people, by the way, if you guys want to be on the show, we got a last minute opening that opened up literally today. So all you got to do is go to businessbros.biz/guest, or just go to businessbros.biz, click on the be a guest icon there and pick a date. We got open spots. And we do book out 8 weeks in advance, but we got some open spots. So go ahead, check it out, book a date. We'd love to have you on the show. Love to get your opinion on a lot of this stuff. What's going on in your life? What products are you selling? What things are you working on? What kind of changes are you going to make in the world? Whatever it is, we want to hear it right here on the Business Bros podcast. So businessbros.biz.
Try to make the world a better place.
Had to get one
Exactly.
clip in there today.
Gotta get one clip. We didn't even do any clips.
I know.
Well,
Do or do not. There is no try.
we just fine by me. Just having too much fun. All right, for those of you struggling, right? That's what we're talking about today. All right.
That's it. All
All
right,
ladies and
we're
gents,
done. We're done.
out. See you later.
Thank you for listening to the Business Bros Podcast. Are you looking to get more clients or to increase your income? Hernan, the business bro, can help you generate referrals through the power of podcasting. And James, the insurance bro with Pipeline Insurance, can help you effectively add insurance to your existing business. If you are ready to create wealth today and generational wealth for tomorrow, email businessbros@csfirst.com to schedule a free consultation or join the Business Bros Network, www.businessbros.biz.